Welcome to Papa Len's podcast, episode 85. And today we do have a question for you. Do dads know best or they don't know nothing? My name is Barn.
And I'm Arky Jones. Remember, we're just two dads just having a chat. There's no right or wrong. Stay with us till the end, please. Like, subscribe, comment below. We'll see you in a minute. Cheers.
Yeah, mate. I'll just get straight to it. I've been here long enough, and obviously, I do have a wealth of information behind me. So I would, state categorically that I think, as a dad, I know best.
Yeah, 100%, mate.
Yeah.
100%. Look, I think that I'll start off with a bit of a kind of more lighthearted approach to this one, and then we'll see where we go with it, okay?
Yeah.
But I think one thing that's infuriating about teenagers is that they think they know best, especially teenage girls. Yeah.
Yeah.
They really they think they know everything, and they think you're some kind of fossil that hasn't been and the reason we've managed to get to where we are is because we've had to survive this life up until this point, and we kind of know what's out there, don't we?
Yeah. It's absolutely the discipline, that obviously keeps us at bay. That's why we are probably still, have families and looking after kids. And yeah, I sort of understand what you mean when kids feel that they are the real thing. Yeah, some of the things that happen is it's absolutely not their fault. At times, the hormones, they are young. It's something that's new to them. The interaction. They're just starting to be adults. They are experiencing that lifestyle, and that's why maybe sometimes when you counteract any move that they are trying to make, they think that you are carbon, you don't know jack shit.
And I think there's also, I need to be honest as well, is that sometimes because we are a bit battle scarred, because we've seen some shit, and we know what's out there, we know that the wolves exist, and we know that not just the wolves exist, we know demons are real. You know what I mean? And we've faced demons and we've overcome them. And our instinct is to protect our children. But one thing that is our role in doing so is to prepare them for adult life. And I'll give you one story. One time when my son was about 11 or 12, and we were going up the road to the bowling alley, and it was a kid's birthday party, with his friends.
Yep.
He ended up getting his jacket stolen that day, an Adidas tracksuit, but that's a whole different story. But as we were sat in the car park outside, I said, if you go to the toilet and, a man tries talking to you and, wants to do anything, just leave the bathroom. And he just said to me, how about I just go bowling with my friends and don't think about men in bathrooms? That's what he said. But you know what he's like? He's a level-headed guy. Yeah. And I remember okay, am I fucking him up right now? Because he was just like, I just want to go bowling, Dad.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about weird men in bathrooms.
He probably thought that you've read too many stories in your life and you're trying to bring all these weird sort of stuff around him, and he probably wasn't bowing to any of that shit.
No. You do it because you've got the best intentions at heart. But again, I think he said something like, the probability of it right now, in the middle of the day, I'm with a bunch of guys, it's not likely. But at the same time, I do, one thing I've always told them, both since they're little kids, is that don't fuck with other people.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's a very correct thing to say, because when you do, there's usually consequences when you fuck with other people. I mean, the best thing to do is to leave them alone if you can. because we know, I mean, as dads, that the results aren't always pleasant.
No.
When you f with people, you don't have to do that. So as much as they may think that we are boring and all, sometimes our advice does go a long way, and it is always often said that like prevention is better than cure. So we
Yeah.
are very wary of the curing part, because sometimes it can come with expenses.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yes.
if we are saying, okay, avoid it, then I know exactly what I'm talking about. Just like me, even at my age, I do have this thing, I think I've told you before, of uh, always thinking about, oh, my car is going to some idiot is going to reverse into my car.
Mm, mm.
So with that, if I go to a shopping center and I need to park, I always find a secluded space where I can just park my car in there. And most of the times, I just have to drive further away from everybody else. But it has saved me for a very long time. Yeah,
And this is where like dads know best. That knowledge isn't won without the pain.
yeah,
But also, one thing I always have to remind myself is that to grow, they do need to experience discomfort because that's where growth is. But what level of discomfort do you want them to go through? Like, I don't want them to suffer as much as I suffered. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But I want them to suffer enough that they learn. Because if you let them live in
Mm,
bliss,
mm.
they don't. When they get out to the real world, they think the world owes them something,
Yeah, yeah,
and the world owes them nothing.
yeah. Mate, you are dead right when you say that they need to feel the pain one or the other, because cushioning them is hurting them in a way. Because that's exactly how I see it. Because I think the more they get exposed um, to the nasty side of life, the more they are prepared
Mm.
to face the world. Otherwise, if you cuddle them, what happens if you're not there? It'd be them against the world, and maybe, oh, dad is not here, or dad is long gone,
Mm.
and what are they going to do? So that's the other thing. So rightfully so, it is our duty, to make sure that uh, we impart every part of the knowledge that we have to them, good or bad.
Mm.
That's our duty as dads.
I mean, what I try and do is walk a line because I would say that the things I've seen and what I've experienced with my past, I know what is out there in the world, but
Mm,
it isn't necessarily here. Do you know what I mean? And so you don't necessarily need to prepare them for a threat that is in a third world country
mm,
that while we're here, because they're probably never going to face those same threats unless they choose paths of high risk that I did in the past. But at the same time, I'll give you a story. This happened just 4 or 5 nights ago.
yeah.
So my daughter wanted to drive on her own to the city centre at past midnight. So leave here at midnight. So
Mm.
it's what is about half-hour drive, would you say, give or take? 20-minute drive?
Yeah, yeah, maybe, yeah,
With parking, half an hour, would you say?
yeah, half an
Yeah.
hour, yeah,
And then she wanted to walk from the car park to the nightclub to
yeah,
meet 3 male friends there.
yeah,
And I said to her, it's not happening.
mm,
And she got upset with me.
mm,
And I said to her, you can be upset, but you are not driving your car to a city centre on a Friday night after midnight and then walking to a nightclub on your own.
yeah,
There's so many different vulnerabilities there. And I appreciate that you think this world is safe enough that you can do that. And I appreciate it is wrong that this world is not safe enough that a woman can walk in a can't walk in a car park at night with
alone.
drunken people around alone. I apologize that the world is not safe enough to do that. It's wrong,
Mm,
but it's the fucking truth.
yeah,
And in the end, she didn't go. And this is going to sound like I'm making this up for the podcast, but I'm telling you, man, I'm not. That night, the 3 guys she was meeting got rolled at the place she was going to meet them, and they had to give money to some bad guys to stop getting bashed.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, mate. I mean, the other thing too, you're also protecting yourself when you tell it not to do certain things, because you know, I mean, the level of vulnerability that she'll be exposed to if you were to allow. You love your daughter, and you always wanted the best for her, but love doesn't always extend to making them vulnerable.
Mm.
So whatever you did, is a correct thing, because if anything were to happen, to her, and you didn't say anything, you that will affect you. It'll probably scar you for a very long time.
Mm.
So by probably taking away the excitement, you actually helped her, and then shout out goes out to you, because of the wealth of knowledge that you have. You have seen a lot in your lifetime. So with that, it's coming to use.
And I think also in the kind of the concept of dads know best, it's not that we inherently know what's best, but we've lived enough of a life to know what's not best. Do you know what I mean? So we might not necessarily have all the answers. And one thing I've tried to do with my kids, I don't know about you, Barn, but I've tried with my kids to make it clear that I do not have all the answers, but I will give them my best. And when I approach things, it is kind of from a perspective of what is best for them. That being said, have you ever seen like the National Lampoon, the old ones where they did like Christmas Vacation and Wally World? Did you ever watch them with it was like a comedy show?
Yeah, sort of, but that would have been
Was it Chevy Chase or something?
Very long time ago. So
There was a scene in it anyway where the dad always calls Russ.
Yeah.
Russ. And I never realized I had a lot of these quirks when as my son grew up, but he would often tease me if because I would be fixing the car. Let's say that I'm I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just say that I am changing a head gasket.
Yeah.
And I make a mistake. And I would be like, it's because you hold the bloody torch wrong. And as he got older, he was like, was it really the torch?
Or it was you.
Or it was you. And I'm like,
sometimes, I mean, when things are not going right, I mean, it's unfortunate, but you can't take it on the poor boy.
But I feel like dads do.
Yeah, get it right.
Get it right.
Yeah.
I would say that in most cases, though, that for fathers that have the best interest of their children at heart, so not narcissistic types, not personality disorder types, they generally do know best given the information that they have available to them at that time. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't necessarily know best, but most dads will do what they think is best with the information they have available to them.
Absolutely, man. It's only that the kids, especially teenagers, they become very crafty.
They do.
So some of the information that you always get from them is not exactly what it is. But as a dad, you would know that, okay, maybe this might not be what she or he's telling me, and you would often impart some advice. It could be advice that is in a little bit of a tangent, so you don't annoy them, but that helps them think about that if they're going to be doing something naughty, then they might say, oh, my dad
so to see.
Yeah, my dad wouldn't approve of this. And sometimes it does help them a lot.
Do you think that, even though dads know right,
Mm.
do you think that it's a responsibility for us to set really clear boundaries though, and to some extent have some rigidity in those boundaries so that the positions are respected?
Yeah, you allow them to be alive. You allow them to explore their adulthood, especially if they become adults. You just allow them. But I think at this point, they need to become your friend in a way, but you still they're dead. But
Mm,
you can, because they are now adults, you can respect them to a certain extent, but at the same time, tell them in a in a friendly manner, not as that authoritative dad who's telling this is gonna happen.
mm. Well,
You
that will
could,
drive them away.
yeah, that'll make them rebel,
Mhm,
from you. But if you
mhm,
tell them nicely, if for instance it's a boy or say it's a girl, you know what, this is what you need to do. You are at school now, and your focus is to finish school. Just make sure that you don't do things that'll disturb you on that. Look, we are spending money
mm.
and paying your school fees, and the last thing I want to hear is if things go wrong. Look, I'm not inhibiting you from interacting with your friends, but uh, do it with, limitations. Don't go above board and do things that'll distract your trajectory in life.
Yeah, I think that that's a critical point because one thing we don't want, and this is a selfish point,
Mm,
but it also is a point that is in some ways virtuous, that we would be fools to wish misery upon ourselves.
yeah,
And therefore we know if they speed in their car
yeah,
and they have an accident,
yeah,
that is going to bring misery upon us.
yeah,
So it's very important that we make it really clear with open communication
yeah,
that the actions have consequences.
yeah,
So you give them enough rope. But you know that saying, give people enough rope to hang themselves?
yeah.
You don't give them enough rope to hang themselves. You
No,
give them enough rope
mm,
that they can taste the discomfort,
yeah,
but you don't want to push them so
no,
far that they hang themselves. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, not your kids. I
No.
mean, you obviously you don't want uh to hang them. Maybe if it's for um
Maybe a grazed knee is okay.
yeah, yeah, no, nothing uh severe, but um dads can be um special too, especially to boys. I can see maybe your boy is learning a lot,
Mm.
from you now at this stage. He's pretty much good with computers and most probably inherited that from you.
Yeah, I think all of us have got a responsibility
Mm.
to like relay that message, but in a way where they can make mistakes
Yeah,
and they feel empowered to make a mistake, but you don't want the mistake to be so bad. Like I'll tell you a good example is, like those really like rich boys who are like billionaires' sons that never
yeah,
face consequence ever in their lives.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden you find out like they're like hurting frogs or something, you know what I mean? I'm just saying like they hurt people or because they're so used to taking.
yeah,
They never face consequences.
yeah,
You as a father, you do not want to create a young adult male or female that wants to take advantage of other people for their own gain. So you've got to instill values onto those children. That is, if you work hard, you will get rewarded.
mm,
If you do things well, it will often work out. And even if it doesn't work out, there is a lesson in it.
mm,
But do not, and like it comes back to our earlier point, do not for your own pleasure, for kicks, for shit.
mm.
Like I've always told them, don't bully people. Yeah.
Yeah,
if you see someone that's vulnerable,
Mm.
and it's genuine vulnerability. I'm not talking like an ambush, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
of course.
genuine vulnerability.
Mm.
You are not responsible for them,
Yeah,
but you don't make it worse for them at
yeah,
the very least. At the very least. And also I try and tell them you are responsible for your own happiness. Nobody can give that shit to you.
yeah. Absolutely, man. I think that's true. I mean, talking as a dad, I mean, we obviously have a vast storage of good advice that we can impart to our children. Of course, they always think we're boring.
Mm.
We may be, but the reason why we're still here is sometimes of the fact that we kind of boring people, but we have very clear direction of where we're going.
Mhm.
If they can, latch into us as we go along, I think we will take them somewhere better than where we are ourselves.
Well, that is the dream of a father,
Yeah,
that his children will far surpass him in life.
yeah,
They will have a more rich, more full, more rewarding. They'll be able to give more back,
mm,
and they'll be able to, and you hope. I feel like probably a benchmark
mm,
for a parent
yeah,
is if your children still speak to you when they don't have to.
yeah,
I
yeah.
and I hope I've fostered an environment
Mm,
where my children will voluntarily talk to me
mm,
when they no longer need me. And there's a song. Have you ever heard it? I think I've spoken about this before, but "The Cat's in the Cradle." I butcher the words, but
mm,
it's about a father and son. And when the son was little, the dad's always busy, never has
yeah,
time for his boy.
yeah.
And the moral to the song is, and the boy was just like me,
Mm.
because when the boy grew up, he didn't have any time for his father.
You become busy.
He became busy, the
Yeah.
same as his dad. And I think one thing as fathers, we need to we're not just downloading this knowledge onto the kids.
Yeah.
We're kind of growing with them,
Mm.
and we make mistakes as well, and we grow through those mistakes. I mean, with our kids, we make mistakes.
Yeah.
We
Of course.
shout inappropriately. We can
Yeah.
be angry. We can get the wrong end of the stick.
Yeah.
And we need to be willing as well to know when we were wrong.
Mm.
We don't necessarily need to tell them we were wrong, but we need to know, and then we need to grow from that as well, and then use that to be better parents for our kids.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Any final word, Barn?
Yeah, no, look, all I can say, is that as much as our kids can think that we are outdated and boring, if they, latch into us, they will learn a lot of valuable lessons that'll make them, grow up to be good gentlemen and ladies at the
Mm.
same time. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, fella.
Okay, mate.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Cal. That was awesome. Cheers.